Hi guys, look who I have. Ron
Hi.
Hoon. Ron, why are you so much taller than me today?
That's
Oh,
because
you're gonna need you to lean.
I'm gonna do a little bit of this. I like to
Can you
actually.
do this thing again or
I
whatever?
like to have bad posture.
Well, I mean, look though. It's just,
I know.
This is what happens when we switch chairs,
There you
guys.
go. No, it's all right. Okay, it's fine.
I don't feel comfortable with this.
Do you not?
I'm really I'm like crazy, guys.
But I thought we agreed that you were gonna like scoot forward a little bit more. There you go. There
But
you
you
go.
were
Look at
also
that.
supposed to go like this.
Then it almost looks like I'm photobombing you.
It already looks like this.
Anyway,
Doesn't it look like this is so awkward? Ron, can we? I guess
why are you being so
you want to switch
obsessive
seats?
about this? No, you were about to tell everybody. I'm so weird about this.
I'm
Confess
insane about everything. Everything has to be perfect. This is why I don't want to get married, because I'd be like crazy, like obsessive when it comes to wedding planning. I'm OCD. I'm going to Mexico, as some of you guys know.
I like how
weeks.
you gave me one of these.
And
Some
I
of
have
you
not
guys know.
finalized where I'm staying because I'm so neurotic. I have a spreadsheet of about 15 places I've booked because they have free cancellation till a few days before.
But don't they charge your card anyway?
I have a very high credit limit.
I guess so.
And I have it's a beautiful spreadsheet
Okay.
where it lists hotel name,
Yeah.
location,
Yeah.
type of room,
Right.
cost,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. Yesterday, I took it up a notch and went super crazy, went into Google Maps and measured the walking distance
Oh.
from each hotel to the
Okay.
nearest subways, and then added a
Wow.
column for like 2 minutes to Pink Line, 14 minutes to this.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
insane.
Okay, you have too much time on your hands.
No, it's just
That's
that
what is
I
happening.
can't, and so I've sent the spreadsheet to my friend Jessica, who I'm traveling with, and she
Mm-hmm.
probably, I was like, can you please look at this? I don't think she wants to look at it. I think she thinks I'm crazy. She might just like bail on this trip. I don't know.
I've never picked up that part of you so much.
Because you guys don't
before.
see it.
Wow. Well, anyway.
I'm
Crazy. But adorable. Is
so
there
you're
a way
getting
that
it right now
crazy-
because we're not even in height,
Yeah,
and it's
but
bothering
sort of
me.
like, who cares? See, you're going to work your way through this. This is going to be the day we solve that whole
You're
thing.
causing so much attention inside. The anxiety that you were inducing. I'm going to talk about this with my therapist later this afternoon. I'm gonna be
Okay.
like, Ron Hoon, he did not let me sit in my tall chair.
I mean, we can switch, but think about the freedom that you're going to feel at the end of the day today, where you're like, I dealt with it for a couple of minutes. I was sort of hyperventilating, and in the end, it all worked out just fine.
Okay, you know what? It's fine. We're
There
gonna
you go. See?
viewers
Nice.
are just gonna think I'm extra short today.
Yes, right.
I'm not wearing my heels.
Okay.
It doesn't even apply.
Green Corn is like, that is insane, SK. Getting a little worried.
Eric
for ya.
Cars though thinks I'm smart, and
Oh,
it's true.
there's no
I got
doubt.
a perfect SAT score. Have I talked about this on air?
You got a 1600?
Well, no, a perfect SAT math score.
Oh. Wow.
So,
How come you're not some brilliant engineer, pulling down
because I'm a
millions?
brilliant host of Fox News Now instead. I was getting like all these like letters of recruitment from MIT, but I always wanted to go into television, so I always knew I was going to study broadcast journalism. It wasn't a thing.
Wow.
So that's why I'm not some crazy mathematician or rocket scientist.
That's cool. Is everybody in your family that way?
No, I'm the my
math
dad.
geniuses?
The way I have like a calculator in my mind randomly. I get that from my dad.
Okay.
But
What is his career, your dad?
he was in finance,
Okay.
like a financial
Oh,
advisor.
okay.
Eh,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
I guess that involves math in some
Sure.
capacity.
Yeah.
All I know is I knew a lot about foreign currency when I was 3 or 4. Have I ever told you this story?
No.
So the game I'd play with my dad, he'd like say the country and I would reply with the currency.
And you're 4 years old.
Yeah, it would be like Swiss, franc.
Oh, that's cool.
Japanese, yeah.
That's
This was the
cool.
game I played.
Good for him.
Yeah.
See, that expanded your brain at an age where you needed to expand it.
Yeah, I'm relearning Spanish.
I mean, I was at a school not long ago, a grade school, with 5th graders, and we played the state capital game.
Ooh,
and
that's 5th grade's the year you learn them.
Yeah, and they were just starting their curriculum on it, so they hadn't actually gone into it yet, and nobody knew any of the capitals.
Yeah.
It seems to me like by 5th grade you should know a few of them. I mean, you should. Of course, I didn't say Arizona, but I said
California.
Colorado. I said Oklahoma.
The obvious one.
I said Tennessee. But anyways.
Well,
I don't know.
here's
So
the- I
good
mean-
for your dad at such a young age for teaching you that.
That's
cool
like
stuff.
the only thing my dad taught me, though. But fifth
No,
grade,
now.
fifth grade was fun because if you memorize the state capitals,
Yep.
you got to go to the exclusive state capitals pizza party. I don't know if you know this, but as a
nice.
kid, I need to bring in the picture. I always describe myself. Well, seventh grade actually, not fifth grade, but it was in the process. But
Okay.
seventh grade, if you look at my student ID, I describe it as I looked like a fat Mexican boy, or like. First of all, I'm not overweight now. I am not a boy, and I am not Hispanic, but
Okay.
that's what I looked like
Oh,
in this
gosh.
ID photo.
Okay. All right. So here, we are going to totally solve this OCD-ness and make you the most laid-back, de-stressed person ever.
It's not possible.
It's gonna happen.
It's not possible.
We can do it.
I'm going to show you this spreadsheet. It's
So
crazy.
what happens when things don't work out your way? Do you
What
pout?
do you mean?
Do you pout?
Well, give me an example,
For
like-
example, if like your friend said, "This is ridiculous.
I'm
gonna pick every hotel and you're gonna live with it." What would be your reaction to that?
If it started like that and I didn't do the research to begin with, I'd be fine. The minute you let me explore, the minute you give me options,
Yeah.
I'm done. That's why Tinder was no good for me. Anyways.
Wow.
Well, on that note,
Okay.
thanks, Zach. Zach says SK would be a cute boy.
Hey, and Nick's over in the UK says definitely not a boy. LOL.
Well, I'm glad you guys were entertained.
That was very interesting.
And Shane, oh my God, look at this. Look at what happens. This is why I have anxiety, because people in the chat room like Shane, who may not have heard our discussion about the chairs,
Yeah.
join and I'm like, what happened to Samia's height? Did she
Yeah.
shrink?
Somehow, that chair is always where you are, and this other chair, we switch, and then I just popped in, and she said, "Okay, are you okay with this chair?" And I said, "Sure." But then you said, "I'm not sure I am."
I'm not. I don't like this uneven height distribution thing. Anyway.
Oh, anyways. Hi, Nix.
I guess we'll just get to our top 5 stories.
What?
I should change one of the top 5 stories to Ron's way taller than SK today.
Right.
Like replace one. Ron just grew, guys.
There you go.
I didn't get shorter. Ron's torso.
Correct.
Just
It just makes me appear taller, which is an attribute for most guys, is it not? To appear taller?
I'm gonna sit on my legs.
Oh, look at this. See, now you're like Amazon woman.
There we go, guys. Now, literally, if you guys could see this,
Okay.
you could. The joys of moving cameras. There we go. We're just gonna do this.
Good. Because I like sitting in this chair. This is awesome.
It's not that. It's like for me visually, it bothers me.
I know.
And
I
you
know.
love giving me this anxiety. I see it. You're driving joy. You're like a prankster. Were you a prankster as a kid?
Not really, because when I grew up, it was just my sister and me. And you can't really be. I think you have to be in a larger family to be the prankster, don't you? Because you're pulling stuff on. I mean, it's just her and me. I'm not going to pull a bunch of pranks. But.
Or maybe if you had a brother, you'd probably do it.
Joe Foley, Zach is like, keep her on here all day. And then Joe says, "Okay, Hooner, where you hide the booster?"
Sigh.
Oh, brother.
Well,
Anyway.
on that note, look at all the top stories we have. We have so many serious stories.
Yep. Final State of the Union.
That's a big deal.
This will be interesting because, okay, Obama wants to get his agenda out there and accomplished. But from what I hear, it's going to be somewhat shorter on specifics and longer on a kind of a general upbeat attitude of optimism, morning in America, as Ronald Reagan used
Right.
to have, kind of like we're at the beginning of a great phase of all of our lives, for 2 reasons. Number 1, supposedly, I guess, he feels that way. Number 2, politically, it's kind of smart because most of the Republicans are saying things like, "Oh, this country's going straight to hell in a handbasket," and
we
he's
hear it
ruined it.
pretty much multiple times a day every time we bring in a live feed from
Correct.
someone running for president.
Correct. And, however, here's the interesting part. Most Americans agree with the Republicans. 70% in the latest poll. Right track, wrong track, that's a big number. 70%, that's when you're getting above 2/3. When 70% of the country says we're on the wrong track. The thing about it is, wrong track can mean about 5 different things.
It depends on what your focus is, too. You could be in the wrong track for the economy, the fight against ISIS,
Right.
whatever your take is
Yeah.
or whatever your big issue is.
Yeah. What do you think it is? If you had to say there's one reason that number is
I think
one
it's
of the
fear.
highest it's ever been. I think so too. I think it
it's
is
fear-driven.
terrorism, and I think people feel somewhat helpless that we are not doing more. I mean, you just had a terrorist attack today in Turkey, in one of the great cities, Istanbul.
I know this really upset me because this is the tourist area of Istanbul, Sultanahmet. It's the old city of Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the Istanbul is the only city in the world that's part of like 2 continents.
That's right.
It's split right in the
Both
middle.
sides of the Bosphorus.
Yeah, and this is a very touristy area. So whoever decided to do this knew that they would be targeting foreigners, and it's just crazy. I was telling I'd gone to Turkey 7 years ago,
Okay.
and I was just telling Ron not to go to Europe because I'm personally like when it comes to travel, I'm just avoiding Europe right now as a whole because and I feel like any city is a target. I feel like I can travel within the North America, South America, Central America, Caribbean region for now and feel a bit safer than if I were anywhere in that Europe, Asia.
So the
region.
San Bernardino attack did not frighten you?
No.
Because it was isolated to one workplace?
Yeah.
What
It's-
if they had attacked? You know they had plans. You've heard some of the stuff that's leaked out of what's his name's interview, Enrique Marquez.
Oh, his friend? I haven't heard of some of the stuff.
Yeah, because it was making big news when I was off a couple of weeks ago over in LA. Was that they had discussed a couple of other. They had
like in
discussed doing
2012.
They had discussed doing a shooting at a community college. And they had discussed, and this was the one that was actually really frightening to me, and I thought about it because I was over there, doing a shooting at rush hour on the freeways in LA. That was the one that I thought,
Wow.
how in the world,
If you're at an overpass.
if you're in law
gosh.
enforcement, how would you...
Well, either you're
Because you're
stuck.
stuck. That
Well, at
stupid
least
101 goes 4 miles an hour.
if the shooter is on the freeway, there's
No,
that, or the
well.
shooter's on an overpass. But either way, I mean, that's a terrible. I mean, those things are terrible, but I feel like that doesn't bother me because you have every day you have a mass shooting, and that is not quote unquote terror related. You have the guy that was angry who went into the church in South Carolina and shot up everyone. You have the kid that was in Oregon that shot up everyone. You have Adam Lanza with the school incident, Sandy Hook. You have the incident in Colorado with James Holmes. There's so many incidents that, have never been described as terrorism by, authorities that also, did the same thing that they did with that shooting. I guess for me, it's these suicide bombing attacks or even the shootings, but in Europe, I don't know why. I just feel like they target touristy areas, and me, being a traveler, would frequent those touristy areas, whereas in the United States, it's just like it's a game of chance, unfortunately. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
just you don't know. I don't know that
nobody.
someone's going to walk in and not shoot up this place, or
Nobody does.
go to Fry's and I don't know.
Nobody does a better job, obviously, than the United States. I mean, supposedly that's part of the whole discussion right now is how far do we go in looking inside people's phones or their computers or whatever. The Rand Paul argument on that.
Hands off with everything.
Yeah, that we've already gone too far. But the United States obviously is doing a pretty good job, all in all, at protecting us. They say, I mean, I've heard these quotes from government officials that on an almost daily basis they're investigating plots. So I don't know. It's good for us, and and you do feel safe in this country. And it's a crying shame that these guys make you or anybody else feel like there's part of the world that you can't go to. Okay, you guys want to run your little caliphate over in Syria and Iraq. Nobody wants to go there anyway.
I'm sure there are
But-
people here who maybe grew up in Syria or Iraq who are older who probably would love to go back to their home country.
No, that's true, but
and
aren't
they can't.
Correct, but I mean, even the they're not even in Damascus, and they're not in Baghdad. They're out in the desert. They're like running around like nomads. So, point being, you got me off track there.
I'm sorry.
Point being, they're making you, who loves to travel the world, say, "I'm not going to go
For
to
now.
Paris. I'm
For
not going to
now.
go to London. I'm not going to go to Rome, the great
See,
cities of the world."
I have been. The thing is,
so
London is the one where
maddening.
it's like I do want to go back. I have family over there, and
Yeah.
That is the one that I've thought about. But just being realistic, I've never ever been to South America. There's a great continent where you don't. The only thing you hear coming out of South America, lots of earthquakes, but I can deal.
Right.
I can do earthquakes.
And a bad economy.
Which is great for us.
Yeah, true.
Any country with a bad economy is great for the United States. Do you know how many pesos I'm getting when I go to Mexico?
Yeah.
I'm just
Right.
going on a subway costs 5 pesos.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that's like
That's really
less
great.
than 50 cents.
Yeah, I know, and you and I were just talking off the air about how, by the way, just however we're chatting, people just keep gravitating toward us, SK.
They love us.
They love your neuroticism. It started off with your neuroticism, and so I think folks at home in the chat box feel like, well, they can help you through this.
Oh, do you know they like to help me through everything in the chat room. The
Yeah.
chatters have advised me on my posture.
Okay.
What I should do to go like see a chiropractor, an orthopedic surgeon, because they were talking to me about how this chair might be better for my back than that chair, and how my job specifically has injured my back.
Aw.
And they're fun. They consult on my
you
glasses.
guys are awesome. I mean, we need to check it every couple of minutes here. So
Nick's what's wrong with London? Nothing's wrong with London. I
Nothing.
love London. The
Yeah.
problem is these big cities in Europe are major targets.
You know they are targets for
Right.
ISIS, and you hope that everything's being done, but
Right.
it's just easier for them to get into Europe than it is here in the U.S. Although you haven't heard a lot of talk about Syrian refugees coming here, have you, lately?
Well, no, but I think one of the things is that the refugee process, I just want to know what the vetting process is like anyways, because all the government authorities are saying they already have a really good vetting process in place. It takes refugees more than a year to get in anyways.
Yeah, but then the FBI director went before Congress, swore under oath that we really don't know. We really don't. I mean, so you have so many people go up and say under oath, it's a robust system. What does that mean, a robust system? It's just sort of the talking point. But if the FBI director is saying we really can't know for sure, that sets off all kind of alarm bells. So when you were in Istanbul, did you go to this very public market, this very square where this happened?
I think so. I mean, I was in that area. And
Was it crowded? Would there have been 100 people there, 500 people? I mean, is it like the...
Let's pull up some video.
What do they call it in Madrid? The Plaza Mayor?
I haven't been to Spain yet. I love Spain.
You haven't been to Madrid?
I've
No.
never been to Spain. It's my dream country.
Wait, you just quoted Three Dog Night.
Huh?
That great rock group out of the 70s?
Wrong.
Well, I've never been to Spain. Is that right? Isn't I've never been to Spain? Yeah, but I'd kind of like to go there. Ah, that's funny. Oh, well.
Well,
Anyway. Oh, you texted me right when the second I came to
I
say
was like, the viewers want Ron.
Okay.
Or they missed you.
Yeah.
Oh
Funny.
my gosh.
All right. Anyway, so Obama's State of the Union, we'll see how that plays. Of course, we'll be talking about it tomorrow. But it is good politics to make it always works to be the party of hope. And I mean, hope and change was Obama's whole thing. And you've got to run on something besides being anti-Obama. If you're the Republicans, and it looks like Trump right now, could very potentially be the nominee, and he is saying that if it's Hillary and me, because she's polarizing like he's polarizing, he said it'll be the all-time record of voter turnout, which would
I would
actually
buy
be a
into
good
that.
thing.
I'd buy into that.
Would actually be a good thing.
I think tonight, and I don't know, I feel like because it's Obama's final State of the Union address, he'll probably address the things that he wants to do in his final year, but also talk about everything that's happened since he took office. Like how different the country is from 2008 till now, and highlight his accomplishments. I
Sort
feel
of
like he would.
News in review.
I think so.
Let's turn the page.
I think he would try to recap some of his past accomplishments and what he wants for the next or his final year.
Yeah. But who wants to listen to too much of that? I mean, he still needs to somehow motivate the country to move in the direction he wants them to, and when you have 70 or only 30% buying the direction you're trying to take it in. Anyways.
Oh, can we get to, since we're talking about Trump, bullet point number 3.
Okay.
Did you see this story?
No.
John
Tell me more.
McCain, our very own senator from here in Arizona, is talking about how the Kardashian effect is what is helping Trump. So let me just get this. So he said, Kardashian effect is partially, to not blame, but partially responsible for what has made former reality TV star Donald Trump so popular among would-be voters in the lead up to early voting. Now, he said he spoke with MSNBC and said that Trump had struck a certain chord with the American people that inspire a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
McCain also says that if Trump is elected, he will have to work with him because there are too many threats to our nation's security.
Yeah.
And as we already learned from John Hook this past Sunday on Newsmaker, McCain is not endorsing any Republican nominee.
Okay. Well, yeah, it just makes me wonder. I mean, we all sat around here and laughed when Kanye said he was going to run in 2020.
I think Kanye is. I wouldn't be surprised if Kanye.
The thing, at least Donald Trump is a reality star who took a business from very small and made it one of the biggest successful real estate companies in the world. And oh, by the way, if you think people haven't been digging through every deal he ever did, looking for
anything,
some kind of misstep or underhanded dealings, they would have found him. They would have, that kind of stuff would be out there like crazy by now.
That's true.
Unless somebody's sitting on something for later.
We have one other article regarding Trump. Obama saying that Donald Trump is waging a White House campaign based on simplistic solutions and scapegoating. He said this on the Today Show this morning, saying that Trump is putting out a message that he has had adherents throughout history.
I wonder who he's implying there.
And then apparently Matt Lauer asked Obama how seriously the public should view Trump.
Yeah.
And he says, "Talk to me if he wins."
Yeah.
And when asked what he thinks about the possibility of a Trump presidency, he replied, "I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit."
Well, I mean, they're already spoofing. We don't have to wait for him to be president. They're already spoofing him on a regular basis, but they spoof everybody.
Yeah.
They are equal opportunity in that. I got to get going pretty quick, so I better mention to you this. There's a poll out of, let me make sure I got these numbers right. This is out of New Hampshire, where Hillary Clinton had been closing the gap. Now, there's still SK. I want to hear some of the digging into the numbers that these pollsters are finding, because something really is happening that is moving people away from Hillary Clinton and toward Bernie Sanders. And, the question is she doing something wrong? We talked a little bit about this, or is Bernie Sanders just inspiring people, all over the country with his message of socialism? So in November, it was a close race up there. It was Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton in a statistical tie, 48 to 45%, very close. The new one this morning out of New Hampshire has him crushing her, 53 to 39%.
Wow. Well, I mean, it is the state next door, though.
Correct, but she
Vermont.
has been spending some time up there and getting her message out. She spent a lot of time in New Hampshire. And New Hampshire, 8 years ago, voted for her over Barack Obama, in the Democratic primary. That was after she cried about all the things she wants to do.
So you're saying that New Hampshire does not have a record of predicting the actual president? Kidding.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying... So we have this on top of yesterday, how he's closed the gap in Iowa, and something's happening out there.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because another story that was trending on Facebook this morning was Joe Biden speaking out about Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders and talking about income inequality. And I want to go ahead and pull up this post, but it kind of sounds like Biden was almost endorsing Bernie Sanders, but not. If that makes sense.
Oh, it sure did. I mean, some of what.
But let me.
Some quotes here, yeah.
Oh no, this isn't the one. Maybe I did not copy and paste the link for myself. That's unfortunate. But you know what I'm talking about. So,
right. So he says he's doing this interview, and he says, "Look, Bernie Sanders is the man. I mean, he's talking about the issues that really resonate with the voters in terms of income inequality and the basic understanding that people used to have, that if you started a business or you ran a business and it was successful, you shared the profits with your employees, and that's not happening anymore, and that does resonate with a lot of people. And so the questioner then said, well, Hillary Clinton's been talking about that lately.
Yeah.
And his response was, well,
she's new to the job.
This is a relatively new thing for her to be talking about. And then he goes right back to Sanders and says, nobody questions Bernie's credentials on this. In other words, people should question Hillary's. She's just saying it so she can get elected.
Well, a lot of people already question Hillary's take on income inequality. We've seen people, interviews in the past where, people confront Hillary. They're like, you have millions and millions. You don't personally experience the income inequality that the American public experiences. Yeah. What is Bernie Sanders' net worth? It's super low compared to the Clintons, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're in the multi-millions.
Wasn't it only it was like 200,000?
Something like
which
that.
Is still, which is nice to have, but it's not like.
But the thing about
a big bank account.
What I heard one analyst say about Biden's interview is that if he was on Team Clinton, and he's looking through all of this today, whoever that person would be on Team Clinton, you would look at it and say, can you just say one nice thing about Hillary? She is still the odds-on favorite to be the Democratic nominee, and I think to be the president.
But Joe Biden, I think in his heart, knows he should have run.
I know.
Joe Biden, there was a headline last week, remember?
No, yeah.
Every day he regrets it not running.
I know. But he still is saying it was the right decision.
Right.
So this was a robust discussion.
It was very informative. We talked about some top stories as well as my anxiety. I see Steve Kraft. SK, you want to talk politics this afternoon? Cool.
I'm going to run to my meeting.
Bye, Ron.
Cool hanging out with you.
All right, guys, I'm going to continue to get through these top 5 stories. We saw the Affluenza teen's mom in court yesterday. It was a bond hearing. They were trying to reduce her bail. Her bail was, God, I'm so much shorter. Let's change this. Her bail was set at $1 million, and they got it down to $75,000. So now there's video of her actually leaving jail. I'm going to play that for you because I know many of you guys were tuning in for that feed. Stand by. I'm going to get it for you. I might also switch cameras momentarily to the one-person camera. So this is Tanya Couch leaving jail after posting bail.
Tanya, do you have anything to say? Tanya, do you have anything to say?
Tanya, are you happy to be released?
Tanya, you get to live with your son. Any words?
Folks, do not prevent him from walking.
Tanya, would you do anything differently if you had to do it over? Do you regret going to Mexico?
All right, guys, again, that was Tanya Couch leaving jail. She is the mother of Ethan Couch, the infamous Affluenza teen who was missing. Both the teen and his mother were found in Mexico. The teen is still in Mexico. The mother was sent back to California, now in Texas, appearing before a judge. First appearance was this past Friday. Yesterday, Monday, they asked to lower the bail, and it was granted. So again, this is Tanya Couch leaving jail. I want to go back to bullet point number 1, Obama's final State of the Union today. Now, Fox National has sent us a couple of stories regarding this upcoming event, so I want to go ahead and play a few of these for you now. So there's this one that was sent to us last night, and then I'll play the one that was sent this morning.
House officials are describing the president's State of the Union address Tuesday night.
The president's delivering a speech that's not about him. It's about the American people and about the future of our country.
The president is expected to paint an optimistic view for 2016 based in part on 2015, which saw U.S. auto sales hit an all-time record of 17.4 million and the creation of 2.7 million new jobs, second best for job creation since 1999. Also on the president's checklist, renewed relations with Cuba and Iran nuclear deal, as well as initiatives on climate change and trade.
The big things that will guarantee an even stronger, better, more prosperous America for our kids. The America we believe in. That's what's on my mind.
But the list of items the president promised to but failed to deliver on is also long and well documented, including the failure to secure comprehensive immigration reform, to say nothing of the ongoing fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria, ending the war in Afghanistan, the longest conflict in American history, and closing the prison at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
I have said repeatedly that I intend to close Guantanamo, and I will follow through on that.
A pledge 8 years in the making, but one he intends to keep, say administration officials.
He feels an obligation to his successor to close that, and that's why we're going to do it.
You are going to do it?
Sure we are.
But critics aren't so sure. Another detainee was released this week after 14 years at the prison, leading some to believe the president may in fact attempt to empty the facility unilaterally or use more executive action to close it once and for all.
What Obama's really doing is preventing any successor president from undoing what Obama's done. If the president is going to close off the option for the next president to reopen Gitmo, he's got to give it back to the Cubans.
Question is, will he rise to the moment? Based on what the White House has been saying in the media, it's unlikely we'll hear a unifying message for our country tomorrow.
We expect the president to be conversational in his style and tone Tuesday night, sort of in a campaign mode, according to White House officials. By the way, we've also learned that the Family Research Council has made it possible for Kim Davis to attend the speech Tuesday night. You may remember her. She's the county clerk from the state of Kentucky who refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. For their part, the White House has also invited one of the plaintiffs from the high court case that made same-sex marriage the law of the land. At the White House, Kevin Cork, Fox News.
I know that sounds like I'm avoiding the question, and that's not.
All right, guys, now we're going to watch Doug Luzader's story from this morning.
And the White House says this State of the Union address will deviate from tradition in some ways. It will be less about laying out specific policy ideas for the year ahead and more about setting an optimistic tone for the country. This is the last time that President Obama will make this walk down the aisle for a State of the Union address. And the White House is trying to make this year's speech resonate even as the administration winds to a close.
I'm working on my State of the Union address. It's my last one.
The White House released this presidential preview last week. Aides say we shouldn't expect a laundry list of agenda items, but look for some familiar themes tonight. A push to expand Obamacare and a call for action on climate change as well as the Trans-Pacific trade deal. Other issues are sure to cause consternation among Republicans in the audience, like the president's still unfulfilled promise to close the terrorist detention facility at Guantanamo Bay. And then there is gun control. In the First Lady's box tonight, there will be a single empty chair to represent the victims of gun violence. And already the president has used his executive powers to expand background checks for gun buyers.
I think this is not a constitutional question. This is a question of protecting the American people, 30,000 of whom last year died from gun violence. That's too many.
But it has raised constitutional concerns for members of Congress, including the new Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, who will officially host the president tonight.
I don't want to see us get distracted from doing what we need to do to keep the country safe, which is to focus on terrorism, not on frustrating the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens.
As usual, Republicans will have their own response when the president raps, delivered this year by South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. And while the biggest audience for this State of the Union address, as usual, will be watching this on television, the White House will also deploy a whole array of social media tools from Twitter to Facebook, and this year that will include also Snapchat and Genius. At the White House, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and watch this one clip about the presidential race and the latest on that.
I don't think Rand Paul here is projecting a lot of confidence in his own campaign.
The lineup for this week's debate on the Fox Business Network is out, and Senator Rand Paul didn't make the top tier, along with former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina. Paul now saying he won't take part in the undercard debate, instead declaring war on the media and calling it a mistake to exclude him from the main stage.
Chris Christie, as you recall, at the last Fox Business debate was in the first debate. Now he's back on the main stage.
And as candidates prepare for this week's event, it's increasingly looking like a race between Texas Senator Ted Cruz and Donald Trump for the Republican nomination. Trump has recently been hammering Cruz on his U.S. citizenship, as well as Hillary Clinton over her husband's pass.
They actually said if I win, a poll came out, if I win and she wins, it's going to be the largest voter turnout in the history of the country, and that's a good thing.
But Clinton has more to worry about than Trump right now, as the FBI has expanded their investigation into her private email server. Sources say they are looking into whether she crossed a line between her work with the State Department and her private foundation. But Clinton says the claims have no basis, and the FBI has not contacted her.
It's hard to believe that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in an age of terror, would devote 150 agents on a wild goose chase unless there was something very serious there.
You can watch the GOP candidates face off in Charleston, South Carolina this Thursday night on the Fox Business Network. In New York, Kelly Wright, Fox News.
Please welcome back to The Tonight Show, Donald Trump!
So this is just a video of Donald Trump on The Tonight Show. You saw a clip of it in that last story. Speaking of Donald Trump, let's go ahead and hear this one clip.
For her, Bill Clinton is not a smart idea.
Well, I don't know. I mean, time will tell. She came out with a little bit of a statement about me, and I came out with a very big statement about her and Bill, and she stopped talking about me all of a sudden, which is okay. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think it's going to be one of the most interesting races. And they actually said if I win, a poll came out, if I win and she wins, it's going to be the largest voter turnout in the history of the country. And that's a good thing because people...
All right, guys, now we're going to play this clip of the Trump campaign. This story from one of our Fox National reporters giving an overview of the Trump campaign.
Latest polling out of Iowa features a two-man race in the Hawkeye state between Republicans Donald Trump and Senator Ted Cruz. A new Quinnipiac survey has Trump at 31% support, with Cruz at 29%, and Senator Marco Rubio a distant third at 15%. The latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll has Cruz leading Trump 28-24 and Rubio third at 13%. Today in New Hampshire, Trump continued his attack on Cruz's citizenship, being born in Canada to an American mother.
Ted Cruz has a problem. I mean, he's got a problem. You can't have a nominee who's going to be subject to being thrown out as a nominee. You just can't do it.
Over the weekend in Iowa, Cruz said he's always been an American citizen and fired back at Trump.
You're seeing candidates trying to throw whatever rocks they can. That's fine. That's their prerogative. I like Donald Trump. I respect Donald Trump. He's welcome to toss whatever attacks he wants.
In New Hampshire, a new Monmouth University poll shows Donald Trump growing his lead and then a three-candidate race for second place. Trump leads with 32% support, up from 26% in November. Then Cruz is at 14%, tied with Ohio Governor John Kasich, and then Rubio at 12%. In Sarasota, Rubio ripped Cruz's tax policy, calling it intentionally sneaky, like a European value-added tax.
Republican candidates today try to hide their support for the value-added tax by renaming it a business flat tax. But don't be fooled. If it acts like a VAT, and it taxes like a VAT, and it grows government like a VAT, it's a VAT.
Tonight, a super PAC supporting Jeb Bush released this TV ad due to run in Iowa and South Carolina, attacking Marco Rubio, suggesting his opinions blow with the wind.
He supported his own DREAM Act, and then he abandoned it. Marco Rubio, just another Washington politician you can't trust.
Meanwhile, Dr. Ben Carson was on the trail in Iowa today, and even though Carson has faded in recent polls after being near the top, he sounded upbeat with this reference to the Powerball lottery.
Because I want it, because I was born in America, and I know the Lord.
That Quinnipiac survey also revealed that 46% of those in Iowa who named a Republican candidate said they might change their mind. That suggests there could be some movement over the next 3 weeks. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
All right, guys, now let's watch this clip of Marco Rubio.
We can't afford another 4 years like the last 7. Just today, another article comes out about how allies of hers and staffers of hers were conspiring to try to start up Palestinian protests. This was reported just today. They found in the emails this plan to try to stir up protests among Palestinians to force Israel back to the negotiating table. Not to mention, she lied to the family of the victims of Benghazi about what caused that attack. Not to mention the way she's handled classified and sensitive information on her emails. She is completely disqualified from being commander-in-chief. This president obviously is willing to protect his political cronies. But we're going to hold people accountable. Nobody is above the law, not even Hillary Clinton, even though she thinks she is. And of course, she did all of this. By the way, it doesn't matter. She did all this because she wanted it for convenience. And so she didn't care that she exposed classified and sensitive information to espionage from the Chinese and the Russians. But there'll be a full accounting of all this when I'm president and we have a real Justice Department with a real Attorney General. Number one, I do not support amnesty, and when I'm president, there will not be amnesty. Criminal aliens are going to be immediately deported. Sanctuary cities are going to lose their federal funding. Number two, we are going to enforce our immigration laws. I've already supported that repeatedly in the past. 700 miles of fencing and walls in key sectors, 20,000 new border agents, mandatory E-Verify. All of those things are going to happen when I'm president.
All right, guys, that is a clip of Marco Rubio. And now I'm going to go ahead and play this clip of Jeb Bush's town hall in Iowa.
So please join me in welcoming the next president of the United States, Governor Jeb Bush.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thanks for coming. The simple fact is, the world is a more dangerous place because of the 7 years of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Think about it. Benghazi, the Russian reset, the Iranian agreement that creates chaos in the Persian Gulf and in the Arab world. ISIS, a caliphate the size of Indiana now, with 30 to 40,000 battle-tested terrorists, controlling an area the size of Indiana, and every day that they're contained, which appears to be the policy of the Obama-Clinton time, they win. They're allowed to recruit additional people. That legacy is a legacy that's going to have to be dealt with by the next President of the United States. What we need to do is to tear up this notion that 2% growth is acceptable and organize our society around 4% growth. That means we reform the tax code, reform how we regulate, shift power away from Washington, D.C., back to families here and local governments and state governments. I trust the people of Iowa to determine the quality of water, the quality of air, the workforce conditions, the education system, how to build roads, than the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. The front-running candidate for President of the United States on our party, is he really a conservative? Does he know what conservative principles look like? Could he apply them in a way that would allow everybody a chance to rise up? Or is it all about him?
Piece of pots.
I'll just say he's not a conservative.
All right, guys, that was a clip of the Jeb Bush event in Iowa. I'm now going to play this clip of Senator John McCain discussing the attack in Istanbul, Turkey.
That attack, there will be more attacks as long as ISIS has a base called Raqqa to operate out of, to plan, attack, and even manufacture the kinds of material necessary to carry out terrorist attacks. And there is no strategy to take Raqqa by this president. I think until we take out their base at Raqqa, this is the first time a terrorist organization has had a territorial base with which to operate, train, equip, send out their messages of propaganda, to even set up bomb factories. And as long as they're able to do that, especially it's now exaggerated by the flow of refugees that I know that Baghdadi is bringing some young men in and saying join the refugee flow and contact us on a secure site. So it's going to continue. And the tragedy of all this is, as we celebrate retaking Ramadi, the second largest city in Iraq is still under ISIS control, and there is no strategy whatsoever to take ISIS. So as long as this administration is in power, you will see this base of operations and propaganda and effective attacks throughout the world. I'm afraid that he's going to sort of put his emphasis on gun control, as that's the answer to this issue of terrorism. He really has no defense for his actions ever since the beginning, when he decided to lead from behind.
Now I'm going to go ahead and play a story that gives you an overview of what happened in Istanbul.
A grim scene in Istanbul after a suicide bomber targets the city. The deadly blast going off in a popular tourist area there. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan condemning the attack, which he says was the work of a Syrian.
I express my condolences to those who were killed in the blast and hope for a quick recovery for those who were wounded.
The attack happening in a park near the historic Blue Mosque, both Turks and foreigners among the victims. Germany and Denmark warning their citizens to avoid crowds at tourist attractions in the country.
Istanbul was hit, Paris was hit, Tunisia was hit, and Ankara too was already hit. Today, international terrorism has shown its ugly face once again.
Turkey hit by 2 major bombings last year, an explosion killing more than 30 in a town near the border with Syria in July. 2 bombs detonated outside Ankara's main train station in October, killing more than 100. ISIS blamed for both attacks.
This incident showed us once again that we need to stand in solidarity. We need to stand as one, as a nation, against terror attacks.
Turkey thwarting another possible terror attack in late December, police arresting 2 suspected ISIS militants accused of planning attacks on New Year's. In Jerusalem, Connor Powell, Fox News.
This is video from the scene of those injured being taken to the hospital. So what we know right now, the latest information regarding the attack in Turkey, at least 10 people dead in that suicide bombing carried out by a Syrian national. We know that the Syrian national is 28 years old. He blew himself up in a popular tourist area of Istanbul, killing at least 10 people and injuring at least 15 more, according to the Turkish government. Now, among the dead were mostly German citizens, is what we're being told. We know that among the injured were at least 6 Germans, 1 Norwegian, and 1 Peruvian. And the foreign ministry out of Seoul, South Korea, told reporters via text message that 1 South Korean had a finger injury. The Norwegian foreign ministry told Norway's news agency that the Norwegian tourist was slightly hurt and was being treated in a local hospital. Now, authorities in Germany and Denmark had warned citizens visiting Turkey to avoid crowds outside tourist attractions in Istanbul. Here is some video of the region once again. German officials said on a government website that further violent clashes and terrorist attacks are expected across Turkey. Germany also urged travelers to stay away from the demonstrations and gatherings, particularly in large cities. Now, the explosion, which could be heard from several neighborhoods, was at this park right here that is home to a landmark, and it's just 25 yards away from the historic Blue Mosque that you see in the background of this video. This is the Sultanahmet area. It is Istanbul's main sightseeing area, the main attraction where tourists go to when they visit Istanbul. And a government official speaking on condition of anonymity because of government rules told the Associated Press that the explosion was believed to be
terror-linked. Now, this explosion was set off around 10:20 in the morning local time. So you can see, obviously, a prime time for tourists to be out and about. Obviously, very sad for those people who were wounded, their family members, the family members of those who lost their lives. And this is what we know so far regarding this attack. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 10-day forecast here in Phoenix now, guys. It looks, it's not freezing,